Yes, my name is Ryan McGee. I'm the Southside Supervisor. Everybody's right over there. Kind of what our job is to do is to kind of stop the kids, the shootings, and the violence. And we've been mingling with the boxing gym, and hopefully we can do some more business. Thank you very much.
So you guys, they've been digging in deep on the violence aspect of things in this area, and I know they got a building right across the street. So if you're in this area and you see them out here doing something, they're doing something like we do out here. The doors are open. So if you guys see these guys out here, you can go talk to any one of these guys wearing orange shirts. Anybody coming out of that camp right next door. If you feel like there's something going on, you feel like you're scared, you feel like there's something in this area that has to do with violence or anything. Same thing here. This boxing gym is open. You guys can come here. But I highly believe that you can go next door as well. So we just want to lift them up. And we got a special guest here today. I want you guys to give us a round of applause for our mayor. I'd like to introduce my mayor because we love our mayor. I stop outside and walk through some of these neighborhoods with her. She is boots on the ground. She's just not all the way up at the top. She will get down and dirty out here. And as you can see, she's here at the boxing gym today. I say toughest mayor. I came here to fight her, but then when I came here and see what she was doing, I changed my mind. Now you guys see the mayor's got some hands. Come on now. So I really appreciate her. I'm thankful for what you're doing, Mayor. You are, to me, the best mayor in America. I believe that me and my family, we stand solely on that. So give another round of applause for our mayor.
So thank you, Jacob, for the invitation.
You're welcome.
This is my first time here at Via Boxing, but I know about y'all. I know that you guys help train our police officers and our firefighters in Cuffs versus Axis, so I hope that you guys are going to go out and cheer our Wichita-owned first responders as they compete in Cuffs versus Axis. First and foremost, I'm just so grateful to see each and every one of you in a gym, doing something positive. You see, when you're helping improve yourself, you're helping to improve this city. Because I truly believe that it starts with the self. You've got to do well mentally, physically, and emotionally. You have to be well in order to go and give and help others. But it starts with you. So I wanted to tell you guys a little bit about my story because I was about some of your ages when I first came to the United States. So I was not born here, but I've been a long-time Wichitan. I've called myself a Wichitan since I was 8 years old, when my family immigrated from Guatemala to Wichita, Kansas. I was born and raised in Antigua, Guatemala. Por eso mi primer idioma es en español. Y el segundo es en chino, porque mis padres son chinos. Y el tercero es en inglés, because we live right here in Wichita, Kansas. So my brother and I, Carlos and I, moved with our family to Wichita because of my grandpa. My grandpa was the sponsor so that my family could come to the United States. You see, my parents left China. They had a hope and a dream that they would someday come to America. But they knew that it would be a long process. So they thankfully had family in Guatemala. So they went from China to Guatemala. They left all their family. And they sacrificed everything that they knew so that they could provide for the future me and Carlos. Then my parents worked really hard and had to learn a whole new language, have family that is not biological, but relied on community in Guatemala to help them. They were a small business owning family. They had a little tienda. Think of it as like a Dollar General store. That's what my parents owned, but very tiny. My mom is my greatest role model. She is a hard worker to this very day. She's still a hairstylist in our community. And so I consider my mother my biggest role model. She would travel from Antigua, which is a small town, to the capital city of Guatemala City. And she would bring back product that she bought and would bring it back to Antigua to sell. She has hustle. And I just know that that's where I got my hard work ethic from, my mom. And so my parents saved up, and again, we're trying to get to America, and that process took nearly 10 years. And so finally, my family immigrated to Wichita, Kansas because of Grandpa. So we came here on April 2nd, 1993. And I came here, and I still remember our first year, we lived with my grandparents. So 4 in our family, my grandpa, my grandma, and a small little 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom with 1 toilet, so 1.5 bathroom house in Southwest Wichita. And we learned to live together. I really believe that family is the first place that you have to rely on for some help. And my grandparents helped us get our feet under us. My family was able to save and then get their own place. But I love telling that part of my story because I believe that if you have grandparents, I hope that you will connect with them and just say thank you. Because you wouldn't be where you're at right now if it wasn't for your grandparents. Because your grandparents had your parents, then had you. And so I'm really grateful. My grandpa is no longer alive, but I'm grateful to him. And so I grew up in Southwest Wichita, Pawnee and Seneca. And I still remember my very first day of school. Back then, there were not a lot of English as a second language programs. And so back then, you had to get bused to a school that had ESL. So I was bused to Lawrence Elementary School by Maple and West Street area. And I remember my very first day of school. I remember being so confused. I didn't know the language, I had no friends, and I definitely didn't understand what was going on. So I went home crying. And I went home crying to my mom, and I begged her to take us back home. But it was in that moment that my mom made me realize this is my new home, that I had to really take a really conscious effort to take a leadership role within my own family. You see, I don't believe leadership is a position. I don't believe leadership is a title. I believe leadership is an activity. And you get to choose to be a leader. You get to learn skills to be a better leader. And leaders can start as young as this young lady over here, and it can be as old as whatever age you can think of. Leadership is really an activity. So when I was 8 years old, I said, I'm going to become a leader for my family. I am going to learn the language so I can help my family navigate this new home that we're in. So from that day on, I really made it a conscious effort to learn the language. And to this day, I'm still my parents' main translator. My dad still works at the Dillons, where we grew up in Southwest Wichita, 31st and Seneca is where Dad works at the Chinese kitchen. So if you ever go down there, say hi to Wing. And my mom is still a hairstylist in our community. She's self-employed. She has a little booth that she rents up in Northwest Wichita by 21st and Tyler. My parents are hardworking individuals that literally just had a hope and a dream that they could provide a better future for their kids. And so I remember that I needed to learn English, and Grandpa loved watching TV. He liked watching Channel 3, KSN. And so Grandpa would watch the 6 o'clock news, followed by Wheel of Fortune. And I always say that the people that taught me English were the out-of-classroom teachers. Those were the TV reporters, the TV anchors, and even Pat and Vanna taught me English. They taught me how to spell. And so my dream, ever since I was little, was to become like my out-of-classroom teachers. I wanted to become a journalist. I wanted to become a reporter and an anchor right here in my own community. So I made my own goal, North Star, and I said, that's where I want to go. And you see, when you have a goal and a dream in our community, you've got to share it with others. You've got to say, this is my dream. Help me get there. Show me the way. I will put the effort. I will work hard toward it, but show me which path I need to go in order to get there. So I say this to tell you that you have adults here in this room, that you should share your dreams and your goals. And you should rely on these adults to show you whom to connect to so you can get to your dream and your goal. Because for me, it was mentors in this community that helped me. You see, I went from Lawrence to Woodman. That was my neighborhood school. And then I went to Truesdale Middle School. For 3 years, I was in Truesdale. I would walk from my house to Truesdale. But it was there that I met my very first mentor. And that mentor was a school psychologist. And that school psychologist tested me for the gifted program. But she didn't do just that. What she did was she took me and 2 other young ladies under her wing. And she started showing us opportunities. You see, here in Wichita, there are lots of opportunities. Sometimes you don't know it's an opportunity. And sometimes it requires one of these adults in this room to show you, guess what? That's not a challenge. It's actually an opportunity for you. And so I encourage you to connect with these adults in your community to help you see that that's an opportunity. And that mentor of mine showed me an educational opportunity. She showed me this place called the International Baccalaureate Program, or the IB program at East High. So the 3 of us young ladies tested for the IB program, and all 3 of us got in. We would have gone to South High School because that was our neighborhood high school. But instead, we got into the program, and we were fortunate enough to go through the IB program, what I call truly a blessing for me and the 2 young ladies that are now. One is a pharmacist and the other is a doctor. And I was not the medical person. Okay. And so I am so grateful to Mrs. Sorensen, who still lives here in our community. I call her my second mom because she shows me opportunities. And so I graduated from East, and I was really involved in high school. That's another thing I hope you will walk away with. Being in this gym is just one of those places where you can truly focus on yourself and focus on a team. This is a team too. This is part of what I call chosen family. I have biological family, very little. My grandpa's no longer here, so it's just my mom, my dad, my brother, and now I have a sister-in-law, and now finally I have a little niece. But that's the biological family I have. You know what I have though? I have a lot of chosen family. People that I choose to call my family. And part of me, this is my greater family, this whole community. Because you see, I'm a very proud product of Wichita Public Schools. But I know that there's no such thing as a free public school education. Because if there are any folks in this room who are older than 30, you paid your taxes so that you could pay for my education. You see, taxpayers paid for my free public school education, and I'm grateful. I am so thankful because they made an investment in me. And if you're a public school student right now, just know that these adults are investing in you so that you can have a free public school education, but what they're doing is investing in you so that you can realize your true full potential. And so when you're in high school, in middle school, look for those student organizations, connect with them, volunteer your time, find the thing that really motivates you. And guess what? There are really true gifts and talents that you're born with. And you have to help realize that you do have these gifts and talents. And you can give of yourself to this community. So when I was in high school, I started volunteering for places like Exploration Place, Wesley Medical Center. And I'm just really grateful that I had the opportunity to have, at a young age, the idea that it is good to give back. And I hope that you will also give back. I was fortunate to win a Ford scholarship so that I could go on a full ride to WSU. That's another thing I hope you'll walk away with. Look for scholarships. You know what that is? Free money. But that money, you have to earn. You gotta win it. Scholarships are about a competition for that money. It's sometimes about your leadership. Sometimes it's about your community service. Sometimes it's about your grades. But really, it's a competition for this free money. And so always apply for scholarships. Look for those opportunities that are out there in the community and apply for them. Because the very first step is actually getting in the ring. You can't win if you're not in the ring. You're not in the running. So I'm grateful that I got to have a 4-year college education at Wichita State. I graduated with 2 degrees, one in international business and the other in integrated marketing communication. And I continue to be involved on and off school. And so I had the opportunity to connect with folks that are part of this group called Rotary. And Rotary International is a group of basically leaders in communities that want to give back. And back then, I got to compete for this thing called the Rotary Ambassadorial Scholarship. And it allowed me the opportunity to pursue my master's degree. So I had the opportunity to pursue my master's at the University of Hong Kong, and I earned a master's in journalism. But what I loved about that opportunity was the word ambassador. And that really brings me to where I'm at right now. Because when I was in my early 20s, I served as an ambassador for Wichita in Hong Kong and in Asia. And so I'm here today living proof that here in Wichita, you can realize your full potential. I was able to live out my dream of being a local journalist for 12 years. I worked for Channel 10 and Channel 12. And then last year, on April 2nd, 2023, on my 30th anniversary of coming to America with my family, I announced my candidacy to become the next mayor of this city. And so, as the community got to celebrate this milestone of what it means to be an American. You see, you can go to China, and even if you move to China, you can never become Chinese. Even if you move to Italy, you can never just become Italian. But here in America, you can become American. We live in the United States of America. It's an idea, it's a vision. We are not perfect, but we try every day to live out the ideals of what America should be. So every time I see a flag and we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, my heart is just so grateful to live in the United States, where I am able to have opportunities. And I want more people to connect the dots for one another, that there are opportunities. Sometimes it might be more challenging for one individual versus another, but that's why we have community. Community is where you actually truly realize the full potential of a city. I didn't tell you this part of the story until now, because I think this is what I want to leave you with. When I was growing up in Southwest Wichita, this was early 90s, you actually knew your neighbors by first name. And my neighbors in that area I lived saw an immigrant family, or a family that just moved to the neighborhood. And that one of those families decided to knock on our door and say, would you like to come to church with us? It's always an invitation. And when you're invited, when Jacob invited me, I said yes. When I'm invited, I try my very best to make an effort to come out. Because someone, back when I was 8, knocked on our door and invited us to not only learn about God, but learn about being a real community neighbor. And so now, what I want to do as a leader for our community is remind us that it starts from the bottom up, not from the top down. Most of the solutions are really right here. They're in front of us. It's neighbors helping one another, but it's neighbors that you know by first name. You can't solve issues until you actually know someone face to face and you know their struggles, you know their story. And so I am encouraging our community to get to know your own neighbors. Not just say you love people, not just say I love neighbors, but actually love the ones that are literally living next to you. And also, I just came from K-Fan, and it's about family. Sometimes the hardest conversations are the ones with family. And I want us to help repair the relationships with our own families. If we focus on getting better ourselves, like you're doing here, physically, mentally, emotionally, and then you're helping your family mentally, physically, emotionally, that family unit can be strong. And then our neighborhoods can be strong. And then our city can be strong. Because I believe that Wichita really is the best place to live, to work, and to raise a family. But it doesn't start from here. It starts from here, in here. And so I encourage all of you to be good neighbors, to get to know your neighbors. Knock on that door, maybe you haven't done it, and you can introduce yourself and say, hello, my name is Lily. I live next door to you. I haven't said hi, but I'd like to get to know you. So now I get this opportunity to work with 6 other people on the council, and I hope that you will find out who is your council member. Because I, here in this district, is district number 3, which is council member Mike Hoheisel. But get to know the leaders, plural, not just the mayor, but the council members, the people who I call the mini mayor for that district, because that person can help you. Here down the street is the District 3 Neighborhood Resource Center. So Mike Hoheisel has something called a community service representative. And his community service representative is Becca, and Becca can help you if you have a specific thing that you want to connect to. She's a really great connector. And then Mike can also help connect, and I can also help connect, because that's what a mayor does. A mayor is an ambassador to the city. A mayor is a connector for the city, and a mayor is only one person on a council of 7. I am a team member on the council, and I hope to be the best representation of our community, because I'm grateful that this community gave me so much, and I now want to give so much more back to this community. So again, thank you so very much for letting me share my story with you, and I hope you walk away with 1 or 2 nuggets to help you become the best version of yourself. Because I love this city, and this is the air capital of the world. But for me, air actually stands for something. It's about aviation. So our aerospace companies that help us have jobs in our community. It's also about innovation. Innovation are people who take a risk. Some business owners, some entrepreneurs. They're innovative and they take a risk and they make things happen. Maybe in our community you didn't know this, but it's truly a very entrepreneurial city. Pizza Hut started right here in Wichita, Kansas. You didn't know that, right? Okay, you'll have to go to Wichita State because the original Pizza Hut is still on the campus of WSU. What? And so we are an innovative community. But we're also a research community, and research means education. And that is what I want you to always remember. There's always an opportunity for you to learn more. I'm a continuous learner, because I believe that every day you get 2 choices. Number 1 choice you get is how much effort and attitude you have. What type of attitude you have, and how much effort you put. That's number 1, effort and attitude. The second choice is this. I'm either a victim of my circumstances or I'm a victor of my own story. Every day you choose it, because you write your own story every day. Do you choose to be the victor of your story today, or do you choose to be the victim of your story today? It's a choice. So remember that you have control, choices to make about your attitude and your effort, and the choice between being a victim or a victor. And I hope you will always choose to see that there is something positive, that there are positive individuals in our community, and that there are opportunities. So always remember to share your vision, share your goal, and connect with these adults who want to help you. So thank you all very much for the opportunity to share my story. I do have something for you,
So don't go nowhere either.
you can take one and pass it around.
As you guys pass that around, Lily, come up here, Jacob, come up here. Pastor, come up here from Genesis Church. We're going to have Pastor just pray over our mayor and over the Care Violence team, over Jacob Villa, some of the outreach ministries in the room today. So Pastor, you just want to introduce yourself and then go ahead.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here. Gonzalez. I've been here a couple of times. I have a Blue A's too. Blue A's high school. There are some really good questions, right? It's like, will the Chiefs win again? Do you guys think they will win? Do you think there's people in other planets? Anybody? Yeah? I don't know. That's a good question. Well, Jesus had a really good question. He asked this: what will man gain if he gains the whole world, if he becomes the president or mayor or a pastor or a business owner? What will he really gain if he wins the whole world but loses his soul? In other words, he said, what will a man gain if he wins everything but doesn't go to heaven? So the big question is, how do you get to heaven? I think that's a really good question. But we'll talk about it next Thursday. All right? But think about it. What will you really gain if you gain everything but lose your own soul? Well, let's pray. Would you?
Why don't we just get everybody to
Okay,
if you guys don't mind?
Everybody